Daisy Ellaby usually heard the sunflower fields before she saw them. Every July, the rose outside Sunridge gave off a hum as comforting as a porch fan. Hundreds of Clara Peterson's honey gold bees drifting from blossom to blossom, thrumming like a far-off lullaby. The sound was her annual reassurance that Sunridge's Sunflower Festival, which Daisy coordinated, was on schedule and under control. This year, though, something felt a little off. Daisy noticed it during Wednesday's walkthrough, clipboard tucked beneath her arm, when she paused by the competition plots reserved for the Sunflower Honey Bake-Off contestants. The bees weren't drifting in the easy, random loops she'd come to expect. They were flying as though on rails, lining up to land on one particular set of blooms. The blossoms belonged to entrant number 12, Hank Mullins, a newcomer from 2 towns over, who dismissed conversation the way a cat dismisses bathwater. Daisy eased closer. At Hank's feet sat a shallow saucer filled with sugar crystals that flickered pastel pink. Bees dipped onto the sugar, buzzed delightedly, then convoyed up to the sunflowers like returning shoppers. Daisy sniffed and blinked. The sugar smelled faintly of orange blossom, and was that lavender? Scented sugar. She'd seen bakers perfume sugar for fancy cakes, but she'd never seen anyone feed it to bees. "Unusual method you've got there, Hank," Daisy said. He jumped, then pasted on a broad grin that didn't travel far north of his moustache. "Just sweetening the mood," he joked, nudging the dish behind his boot. "Happy bees, happy honey, happy muffins." "Uh-huh," Daisy murmured. She wrote a note on her clipboard and moved on, but a sandburr of suspicion clung to her mind. By Thursday morning, the festival grounds were a patchwork of colour. Bright vendor tents, ribbons strung over the quilting exhibit, paper sunflowers taped to every lamppost on Main. Clara Peterson, the town's venerable beekeeper, arrived in an old pickup that smelled faintly of smoker fuel. 2 of her best hives accompanied her, perched like regal luggage in the truck bed, destined for the educational demo beside the children's tent. "Morning, Daisy," Clara called, tugging her veil back. "They're raring to show off." "Glad to have them," Daisy said, patting one pine-boxed hive. The bees inside hummed a contented note. "Say, Clara, can feeding bees flavoured sugar make their honey taste different?" Clara raised a grey brow. "Only at the margins. Honey's mostly about the nectar." "Why?" "Just curious," Daisy replied, thinking of Hank's pink sugar. "If anybody tries anything odd, you'll tell me." "Odd and bees rarely mix well," Clara said. "You'll be the first." After lunch, Daisy wove through contestants setting up for preliminary judging. Hank wasn't around, but his sugar dish was back, refilled. On the ground nearby sat tiny cloth sacks cinched with twine. Bee lures. She crouched to examine one. The faint scent of citrus lavender tickled her nose again. She reached for the sack, thinking of evidence and rulebooks, when a voice growled, "Can I help you?" Hank stood behind her, eyes narrowed. "Just making sure everyone's following guidelines," Daisy said, straightening. "Baiting pollinators isn't in the rules." "Didn't know bees could read," he muttered. "Look, lady, I'm trying to win fair and square. Those sacks are sachets for my souvenir baskets, that's all." Daisy smiled politely and backed away, but inside her head a pin dropped and reverberated. Fair and square? She'd seen enough county fair shenanigans to know that phrase usually meant the opposite. That evening, thunderheads muscled over the prairie, spitting a few half-hearted drops before rolling on. Daisy locked the festival gate at dusk and drove home. She spent dinner pushing peas around her plate, replaying Hank's reactions. Finally, she dialed Deputy Miles Garner, who had been her lab partner in freshman biologies, and more recently, her when things get weird phone number. Miles, do county regs say anything about feeding additives to bees on public land? Evening to you, too, he chuckled. I don't think so. Why? She recapped the scented sugar and Hank's squirrely demeanor. Miles whistled. Could be nothing. Could be a violation if it harms the hives. Keep an eye out. I'm on night shift near the highway. Swing by if you see real trouble. Daisy promised she would and went to bed. At 5:12 a.m. Friday, her phone chirped. She fumbled it open to Clara's panicked voice. They're gone. Both demo hives, Daisy. Somebody's stolen my bees. Daisy's heart slammed awake. I'm on my way. 20 minutes later, she reached the festival grounds, dew soaking her sneakers. Where Clara's pickup had stood, 2 dark rectangles of flattened grass remained. A few confused bees circled the air, as if expecting their home to materialize again. I locked the tailgate, Clara said, wringing her gloved hands. They must have used bolt cutters. My queens were in those hives, prize breeders. Daisy stared at the vacant space, mind sprinting. Stealing hives wasn't common, but a strong colony with a productive queen could fetch a hefty price. She crouched, studying the ground. Near the tire tracks lay crumbs of pinkish sugar. Hank, she whispered. Miles arrived, took statements, photographed tracks, and promised to pass the case to the sheriff. While he worked, Daisy's eyes kept straying to the bake-off pavilion, where Hank was setting out muffin tins like nothing had happened. When Miles finally left, Daisy strolled that way. You hear about Clara's hives? She asked him. Hank's brows jumped in practiced astonishment. Terrible shame. Someone left a trail of your fancy sugar, Daisy said mildly. No law against dropping sweets. He dusted flour from his hands. Maybe your beekeeper lady misplaced them. People misplace things. Hives aren't car keys. Daisy studied him. He met her gaze, but not for long. She walked away with her brain buzzing louder than Clara's missing bees. The festival could not pause for criminal investigations. Guests arrived by the busload, eager for sunflower mazes and lemonade. Daisy kept the schedule stitched together with safety pins, but beneath her cheerful greetings she tallied oddities. Hank's station was a revolving door of acquaintances bearing empty coolers. A white van with out-of-state plates parked near the service lane twice, and the bees still flocked to Hank's sunflowers as though magnetized. Late afternoon, she found Clara pacing near the children's craft tent, face flushed. The insurance adjuster wants serial numbers, the beekeeper fumed. Serial numbers on bees. We'll find them, Daisy said, though she wasn't sure how. Clara shoved a hand through her veil. Those queens descended from an Italian strain my granddad imported. Gentle, productive, winter hardy. Somebody knew exactly what they were taking. That clicked with Daisy. Hank had said he was trying to win. Winning the bake-off seemed small potatoes compared to snatching a valuable queen line. Could the culinary contest be cover for a bee ransom? She needed proof, and she needed it fast. The hometown evening news was already sniffing around for juicy angles. A headline about criminal negligence could kneecap next year's sponsorships. That night, Daisy brewed tea but left it untouched, passing a plan that felt half Nancy Drew, half kindergarten science fair. She called Miles, who agreed to swing by after his patrol. Then she rummaged through her pantry. Saturday dawned syrup-thick and hot. Daisy arrived early with a tote bag of supplies, canning sugar, food-grade lavender oil, and a small tube of fluorescent hobby paint normally used for marking Easter eggs. She mixed the sugar with a hint of lavender, close enough to Hank's scent, and added barely a capful of paint. Under sunlight, the sugar looked normal. Under a black light torch, it would glow like a neon sign. She poured the doctored crystals into a shallow tin and placed it behind the main pavilion, where she knew bees flew past on their way to Hank's plot. Then she waited, checking her watch every minute. The first bee dipped at 7:05. By 7:20, dozens sipped. Good, Daisy thought. Eat up, ladies. If her hunch was right, whoever had stolen the hives would use the same sugar scent to settle the bees into a new location. Bees trained to associate lavender citrus with home would follow that lane straight to the thief's hiding spot, car, barn, or clandestine apiary. At 8:10, Hank arrived carrying a burlap sack clinking with glass jars. Daisy smiled sweetly. "Morning," he nodded, eyes on the tray of contest muffins. When his back turned, Daisy flicked on her pocket black light. Specks on his boots glowed eerie green. Lavender sugar dust. Her pulse quickened. But footprints weren't hives. She needed location. Miles rolled in just after noon, uniform crisp, predator sunglasses reflecting carnival lights. Daisy ushered him behind the lemonade stand and whispered her sugar-tracking scheme. "You dosed the bees with glowing breadcrumbs?" he asked, impressed. "Pretty much," she admitted. "Got your portable black light?" He patted his belt. "Never leave home without one. Comes in handy during DUI stops." "After dark, we follow the bees," Daisy said. "If they're in Hank's custody, we'll know. And if they're not, I'll owe you a funnel cake." By dusk, festival goers drifted home, bellies full of kettle corn. Daisy locked the last gate. Hank exited via the north lot, lugging a cooler to a maroon pickup. Daisy noted the plate. Not Clara's hives, too small a container, but her suspicion hardened. When prairie night drew its velvet curtain, Miles returned, headlights off, and parked by the tool shed. They slipped through the rows of sunflowers, each holding a black light flashlight. Daisy's stomach fluttered. It felt deliciously illicit. Near Hank's plot, they found a glowing green path that shimmered like fairy dust on the trampled grass, meandering toward the service lane, across a ditch, and into the empty stubble field that bordered the festival grounds. "Look," Miles whispered. Ahead, a scattering of bees bobbed through the dark, abdomens faintly luminescent. They drifted toward an old livestock barn that belonged to the defunct Miller dairy, its silhouette crooked against the stars. "I knew it," Daisy breathed. They crept to the barn's side door. Faint buzzing leaked through the timber, a sorrowful chorus Daisy associated with lost children in a supermarket. Miles tried the latch. It opened with a groan. Inside, moonlight filtered through broken slats, illuminating two wooden boxes perched on sawhorses, Clara's missing hives. Nearby stood a third empty hive body with fresh frames and a bundle of Hank's lavender sachets. A battery fan dispensed the scent into the air. "He's luring them to requeen a new hive," Miles muttered. "Smart, if it weren't felonious." Footsteps crunched outside. They switched off lights and ducked behind feed barrels. Hank entered, tugging on leather gloves. Another figure followed, tall, lean, wearing a baseball cap with a bee logo. The white van driver, Daisy guessed. "Sugar's working," Hank said, shining a flashlight onto the glowing bees. "They'll settle by morning. We load 'em, we're gone by sunrise." "Buyer's wiring the balance tonight," Cap answered. 50 for the pair, another 20 if the queens test pure." Daisy almost gasped, but Miles touched her sleeve. "Wait." Hank opened Clara's first hive and lifted a frame heavy with bees. "Gentle as kittens," he said, voice hushed in awe. "Worth every risk." Miles stepped forward, badge raised. "Risk assessment's about to change," he announced. "Hands where I can see 'em, gentlemen." Chaos erupted. Hank slammed the frame down. Bees roared. Cap lunged for a side window, but Daisy, summoning every softball memory, winged a sachet at his head. It burst, lavender dust misting the air. Cap coughed, stumbled, and Miles tackled him. Hank swatted at the cloud, then made for the door, but a wave of agitated bees, their bellies still sparkling under stray moonbeams, blocked his path. He froze, arms over face, whimpering. "Don't sting me." "Maybe they can't read," Daisy said, advancing with confidence she did not feel. "But they know a thief when they smell one." Miles cuffed Cap, then Hank, reading them their rights while bees resettled, oddly calm now that the fragrance pump had shut off in the scuffle. Daisy soothed them with quiet talk until Miles could close the hive lids. By the time backup arrived, word had spread over police radio. Flashers lit the barnyard like disco strobes. Clara showed up in slippers and a housecoat, eyes brimming when she saw her hives intact. "They didn't hurt the queens," Daisy reported, "just tried to steal your whole family." The beekeeper hugged her awkwardly, veil dangling from her fist. "You saved them. How can I ever thank you?" "Well, I suspect the festival board will vote to name next year's honey competition the Clara Peterson Trophy," Daisy said. "But if you want to slip me a jar of that Italian strain, I won't complain." Sunday morning, the Sunflower Festival opened with renewed vigor. News of the bee thieves' capture traveled faster than gossip on free Wi-Fi, drawing curious visitors who spent generously. Clara's recovered hives drew record crowds at the demo, where she told the adventure, embellished but only a little. Daisy stayed busy mending schedules after deputies carted Hank away, but at noon she allowed herself a breather by the lemonade stand. Miles appeared, 2 plastic cups in hand. "To amateur entomology," he toasted. She clinked her cup. "And to law enforcement choosing the right partners." "We make a good team," he agreed. "By the way, the sheriff wants a statement about your fluorescent sugar technique. Says he hasn't seen that one outside CSI reruns." Daisy laughed. "Tell him I aim to keep Sunridge innovative." "Any plans after the festival closes?" Miles asked, casual but expectant. "I was thinking of a drive through the sunflower fields," she said. "No bees, no clipboards, just a sunset." He smiled. "I'll bring the black light in case we get lost." "Deal." She watched him walk away, heart buzzing pleasantly. Above her, a trio of Clara's bees circled an ornamental sunflower, then drifted westward, little golden guardians patrolling their reclaimed kingdom. The festival music swelled, mingled with the timeless prairie hum, and Daisy Ellaby felt everything click into place again.